So you may be wondering how this is different than this. Now this is kind of like your traditional fish finder, and this is your Castable version. There's a couple different ones. There's the deeper, which is the model I have here. There's the iBobber, and there's the the FishHunter. Um, and these different in a couple different ways. So the first biggest difference is basically with most of the castable ones, you're getting basically a $100 sonar of like one of these and a $200 uh, castable package. And so some of the advantages of these are that you have basically, obviously it doesn't take a setup. You don't have to do any sort of mounting. You really just like throw it in the water, connect it to your phone, and just start using it. For this one, you gotta have a big old transducer usually. Can't cast it obviously. But I'm gonna talk about a couple of different situations where this will be helpful, and some other ones where you may want to think about this. So let's talk about here a little situation that I drew up, which would be helpful for the castable depth finder. So basically, you got just kind of like your standard bank here. You're at a lake or something, and you see a downed tree. So this portion right here, part of the trunk, is above water, and none of the rest of this top part you can see. This is just kind of like a horizontal view of it, but there's a tree there, and you want to see, for example, how big is this tree, how far does it go out, where is a good place for me to cast where we'll have the least probability of snagging, but still maybe pick a fish off that tree. So you want to be about right here. You want to make a couple casts. So you want to cast obviously on the shallower end, kind of in like the middle, and then just kind of a little more to the right. And so basically what you'll find is that so you're going to pick up the tree obviously on this one, and you're going to say, well, I don't want to really fish here. You're going to pick up the tree on the second one. Since it's limbs, you in general see that it's smaller, won't be as thick on the graph. And on this third one, you'll realize that, well, maybe I didn't detect it, or I detected a very little portion of it. So that's where you want to fish in general. And that's what these are really great at, is finding structure that's under the water that you can't see. And that is probably the best use of these products. Another situation that these are great for is if you're going ice fishing. That's what I've been doing recently. We have a ton of snow outside right now, and I think last time I checked it was about 10 degrees Fahrenheit here in the eastern U.S. But we got a lot of ice on the lake right now, probably about 5 or 6 inches. So that's what I've been using this for, just as a flasher. It's really good. It's smooth, at least on the deeper. I know the iBobber also wasn't too bad. That's what my friend was using the other day. Another great thing these are great for is if you use rental boats a lot. So a lot of the times with traditional style fish finders, you're gonna have to like mount the transducer to the boat. Obviously, the option is not available on a rental. So these are great. Also with these, a lot of the time, if they do come in a portable version, you get a suction cup, which does not stick very well to the boat, at least I found. So these are great for that. Caught some of the best fish in general just using this over the past couple of years. I've had this unit now for about 4 years. So an old trick that I usually use, just grab a lanyard, just like this one here. Just grab a lanyard. They come with these little, I don't have it in right now, but they come with a little hook thing on them. Get that. There we go. Come with a little hook thing on them right there. You put that at the various angles depending on what you're doing. Got 3. This is like if you're casting. This is like if you're pulling it using a boat. And top one is if you have, there's like an arm mount thing. You just basically do this while holding the camera. Come on. Okay. Yep. Basically just do that, screw it in, and then wrap this around a rental boat. Paddle boats this will work with. You can even do this on kayaks, canoes, whatever. Anything that you just can't drill into it in general. Just find it really helpful. So I've talked about a lot of the pros of this compared to a traditional, and you're probably like, wow, this sounds like the greatest product in the world. But it does have a few limitations. Number one is, at least with my unit, I can't get like waypoints to go to somewhere. So that's really not helpful. So like if I mark like a tree or something in the boat, I can't mark it and get to something else. The battery life only lasts about 5 or 6 hours, which, you know, with these traditional ones, you just have a big old battery in the back of them. I can get anywhere from 2 to 3 days out of it, and this one even has a side imaging transducer on it, which uses a lot of power. What else? Oh, in general, they're less powerful. You know, you're not getting side imaging on these quite yet. I don't even know if any of them have chirp on them, to be honest. And sometimes, like, with, obviously it depends on the product, but sometimes they have really bad connections and the apps are somewhat goofy. And so sometimes it will just not work, which is extremely frustrating when you're out there on the water. So one last thing I want to talk about is just some situations that you probably shouldn't use this for. If you're dealing anything with extremely shallow water, most of them they say it has to be about 4 feet deep. So if you're working in like a creek or, you know, really, really shallow marshes or something like that, you know, I wouldn't be hucking this around. And another thing is, if like, let's go back to my example over here, you know, if I'm fairly, like if I know this tree, let's say it's more above water, and I say, you know, oh, I know there's a fish, you know, right here, or I, you know, 95% sure there's a fish right there. Don't use the sonar to double check it. Just take a cast instead. You know, the last thing you want to do is just spook that fish or have it move if you think it's right there by casting the sonar instead of trying it out. But in general, you know, these things are pretty good. You know, biggest thing about them is they can be used pretty much anywhere, anytime. It takes very little setup. They're small and compact. And yeah, I would say they're probably great for, you know, newer fishermen who maybe like, you know, don't have a boat yet, don't have something that, you know, don't have a lot of use for this, but maybe could get, you know, some more use out of the Castable versions. But hope this video helps, and I will see you guys later.